All right, let's talk about physics. But, not the boring textbook version you might remember from school. We're going to go way beyond that to uncover a new, really powerful way of thinking. It's a mindset that can help us solve everything from quirky everyday puzzles to some of the deepest questions about the cosmos itself. Let's dive in.
So, let me ask you something, and be honest. What's the first thing that pops into your head when you hear the word physics? For a lot of us, it's probably long, complicated equations and, well, maybe the feeling that it's all kind of dull. If that's you, you are definitely not alone.
In fact, the book that inspired this whole explainer, Physics Olympiad, says the exact same thing right in its preface. It makes the point that high school physics often gets stuck in the weeds with basic concepts and totally misses out on all the amazing stuff you can do with them. So today, we're going to fix that.
And we're going to start by showing how those basic ideas can answer some surprisingly tricky and fun questions about the world around us. Get ready, because some of these answers might just flip your intuition on its head. Okay, here's a classic for you. You've got a massive 4,000-kilogram elephant on one side. On the other, a person wearing high heels. It seems like a no-brainer, right? I mean, the elephant is literally thousands of times heavier. But in the world of physics, weight is only part of the story.
So here's where it gets really interesting. Pressure isn't just about force. It's about how much force is packed into a certain area. Yeah, the elephant's weight is huge, but it's spread out over 4 gigantic feet. A person's weight? Much, much smaller, but a stiletto heel concentrates all that force onto one tiny little point. And boom, there's your answer. The high heel wins by a lot. It's putting about 10 times more pressure on the ground than the elephant's foot. See? By understanding one simple relationship, force, pressure, area, you start to see the world in a totally new light. That right there is what thinking like a physicist is all about. And that same idea of looking past the obvious applies all over the place. We've all heard that phrase, it's just the tip of the iceberg. But what does that actually mean physically? How much of that giant mountain of ice are we really seeing?
Get this. The answer is a very specific 10.4%. That's it. Nearly 90% of its entire mass is just lurking under the surface. And this isn't just a neat piece of trivia. It's a perfect example of how simple physical laws, like density, are quietly running the show all around us.
So how do physicists pull back the curtain and see these things? It's not magic, not at all. It's a tool. You can almost call it a secret weapon for thinking, one that lets them slice through incredibly complex problems. Let's check it out.
It's called dimensional analysis. Now that sounds complicated, but the core idea is shockingly simple. It's that any equation that actually works in the real world has to have the same fundamental building blocks on both sides. And everything in our universe can be described with just 3 things: mass, length, and time. That one little rule, it is unbelievably powerful.
And this just shows you how it works perfectly. Let's say we want to understand the lift on an airplane wing. We can guess it depends on things like air density, how fast the plane is going, and the size of the wing, right? But we don't know the exact relationship. Well, just by forcing the dimensions of mass, length, and time to balance out, the answer literally reveals itself. The analysis tells you that lift is proportional to the square of the speed. You can figure that out without a wind tunnel, just with pure logic.
Okay, so now let's zoom out, way out. Because this powerful way of thinking, of breaking things down to their absolute basics, doesn't just work for high heels and airplanes. It is the very same logic that lets us tackle the biggest questions in the entire cosmos.
And that's the real beauty of it all. The mental toolkit you use to figure out the elephant puzzle is the very same one that helps us unlock the secrets of stars and galaxies. The scale changes, but the fundamental way of thinking doesn't.
For example, by applying these basic laws of gravity and energy, physicists can literally map out the entire life cycle of a star, from its birth in a giant cloud of cosmic gas to its final spectacular collapse. This thinking gets so precise that it can calculate the exact tipping points. For instance, it gave us the Chandrasekhar mass. That's the absolute maximum weight a dying star can have before its own gravity just overwhelms it and crushes it into something completely new. And that same line of thinking takes us to the very edge of what we understand, letting us probe the most extreme objects in the universe, black holes, where the rules of physics as we know them are stretched to their absolute breaking point. And it all stems from the same foundational principles.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? What does it mean for you? It means that physics isn't just a bunch of facts to memorize. It's a whole new lens you can put on to see the world. At the end of the day, that's what it is. Physics is a way of seeing. It's a method for looking past the surface to see the deep rules that connect everything, from the tiniest particles to the most massive galaxies. It trains your brain to find those hidden connections.
So the next time you come across a puzzle, whether it's big or small, just remember that you have the tools to look a little deeper. This way of thinking, it's your lens on the universe. The only question left is, what puzzle are you going to solve with it?